If you are here to hear a conversation between me and one of our evangelists, a great longtime customer and who's become a friend, who's working on some innovative stuff at his dealership, I'd like to introduce you to Miqueias with Leif Johnson Ford. I'm Andrew Street, owner of Dealer OMG. You're listening to Word on the Street. And we can kind of jump into just how things are going because we just started up with Miqueias recently at Leif Johnson Ford here in Austin. Miqueias, how are you?
I'm doing great. Good to see you again, Andy. It's always a pleasure to be with you, Andrew.
Yeah, so not only is Miqueias a car guy, general manager, he's immigrated from Brazil with a really interesting story, but he's got a mind for digital marketing, for leadership, for growing, and then sounds like good parenting too. He was just saying that he's got a daughter in Baylor that's now in Singapore. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. She's going to study abroad in Singapore, business, especially in digital marketing. So she's going to be there for a couple of months. So miss her already. She's been there for 15 days, exactly 2 weeks now. So,
well, dude, that's good parenting too, is what I was trying to tell you.
Appreciate it.
Well, tell me, how are things going at the store?
Yeah, things are going good. We had a really good month last month. We, for the first time in the last, I would say probably 24 months, we broke over 150 new vehicles with only 180 in stock. So it's almost like flipping the whole new inventory in a rolling 30 days, I guess you could say. So it's good to see what's happening, and looks like we're gonna have a do-over again because June is shaping up really strong. So
how long have you been general manager there now?
So since first of the year, I came back here June of last year from a field adventure in Florida. Sometimes you don't always make the right choices, and I learned that one real quick, but I was pleased enough that felt like I'd done a good job here, Leif Johnson, prior to, and paths crossed again, me and the president of the group, Jeff Bew, and I had the opportunity to come back. So I came back as a GSM in June last year. I left as a GSM, came back as a GSM. Used cars was struggling back there, and so we ramp it up used car sales to almost 150 used cars a month. Put the used cars back on a map, and then I had opportunity. I was offered the position this year, so really excited about it. And now it's time to put everything that I learned into work. The last 20 years in the franchise business.
Well deserved. And it seems like, and before you were GSM, is that right?
I was a general sales manager, yeah.
And then you also had like your hand in, as a GSM, you have your hand in a lot of departments besides just,
Yeah, I guess you could say that. Technically, it was overall over 3 sales departments, new, used, and we have an offsite satellite location off 71 by the airport that was under my supervision as well. But once you start submerging yourself in used cars, you spend a good amount of time in service, make sure your cars are reconditioning right in a timely manner. And so you end up spending a lot of time with those guys and finding the right parts, the cheapest parts, make sure you can recondition the car. Don't cut any corners, but also keep it affordable so you can have a competitive price in the marketplace. So, yeah, I guess you could see that.
Well, it seems like some of the stores that you've worked with too, you've been given kind of like the reins and autonomy on working with marketing.
Yeah, I was very blessed. In the prior auto group, prior to Leif Johnson, which is a local Ford dealer, I was blessed enough. I worked at that store for 14 years. Started as a sales consultant. Then I was able to move to F&I finance, which was short-lived because they knew I had some prior experience. In Northeast, before I moved to Texas, I ran a small dealership in a repair facility. So I kind of had a good understanding of used cars. So from finance, I was short-lived a new car manager because as soon as they promote me to manager, I was trying to praise the trades for them, and you know how that guy is. And it was like, well, we probably need you to use cars. So they swapped me with the used car manager, put him in new cars, and sent me to used cars. And from there, I mean, it's what I love. Is my backbone is used cars. I think I spent 8 years. Then I went from used cars to used car director, also running an offsite facility that this previous store had as well, under our rooftop. And from there, I became a GSM at that store, the local Ford store. And from used car manager to director to GSM, I was hands down involved in my digital marketing, probably one of the pioneers in getting out there and really getting understanding the benefits of digital marketing even before it became a thing. So yeah, I was probably one of the first ones to stop printing advertising. I was like, let's just go all online. This is what it's at. So I was able to see the tsunami even before, it came close to shore, and we were always ahead of things. I had a pleasure to meet you at the previous store, which we did great things there, as you well know. And the reason why I came to Leif Johnson Ford and still working with you is because of all the great things we accomplished at our previous store. So I'm thankful that
Thank you. Yeah.
Cross, So that was a good thing. And a great friendship came out of it. So that's definitely a plus, and also very important in this business.
It's always like one of the biggest compliments in my career when a customer leaves a role and moves into another store and is able to bring us along. And then it's just like, my job is to make you look good for bringing us along.
Yeah.
Then let's sell cars. Let's get ROs. Let's recruit. Let's do some outside the box thinking.
Absolutely. And I guess when I came to this store in 2019, wasn't only this store, but I brought the blessing to all the stores, right? As you know, we multiple rooftops here in town, and we end up signing up the OMG to all the stores, and everybody was able to reap the benefits, right? And then unfortunately, here came COVID, right? And everybody thought, why advertising? We don't even have cars, right? And people just start pulling the plugs and all the advertising sources. And it so happened that no different, no discrimination. You guys happen to be one of them, right? That we just cut everything off. And I came back last year and trying to shape things up. And I keep being that water, that drop in a bucket, right? I was like, I want to get back with you, the OMG. And fortunate enough, we reconnected a few months back. We full-blown launched a campaign last month, which I can say we reaped great results. Again, I had one of the best month we had in the last 24 months as far as volume, right? Because I was still able to beat last year's performance gross-wise, not by much, but I had to sell twice as many cars that I sold May last year, right, to put up the same gross that I had May last year, and I still surpassed that by, like $20,000 just in new cars. But because new cars it's the biggest difference we can see now. Because now I can say I have plenty inventory, right? I used to operate with 400, 500 units in stock. Now we're like 180 to 200. But with 180 cars, I was able to sell 150 new cars last month. So that was a good thing.
And beat the gross from last year.
Yeah, new car gross.
Where grosses were through the roof already.
Yeah, and now we are seeing a new set of challenges, right? That's our business. We constantly got to adapt, and it feels like used cars it's the struggle now, right? Getting used cars, right? It's not easy. I think everybody's seeing that right now. The market is very competitive, right? It's rates ups in new cars. People not buying as many new cars, which two things happen, right? They got to keep their car longer, and they got to service their cars, right? Which that fixed operations right now is through the roof. What we saw for the last 24 months happened to the variable side. Now it's happened in reverse, right? We're still fortunate enough. We're still selling some new cars, struggling used cars, and fixed operations just through the roof, right? Because if you're gonna have to keep your car longer, you're gonna have to service your car. So, and again, and like I say, and who knows what's next, right? So, but we constantly trying to be ahead of the curve.
Yeah, and if the industry and the market and whatever didn't change constantly, I'd probably be out of a job because it'd be easy. It'd be like, let's just run the same couple carousel ads that everybody else in the market is running,
Right.
opposed to like, let's think about this like advertising. And then my entire goal is always to have my team when we're talking with you or with any of the customers, it's like, are we doing from our desk what's aligned with what the dealership needs? Like, let's make sure that when we're talking to Miqueias, it's not just, hey, our click-through rate, our reach, our frequency, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
It's, okay, they are having issues getting stocked with pre-owned inventory. Let's go after everybody driving F-Series that bought from us. That's 20,000 people. Okay, that's going to cost $2,000. And then, okay, if we have more budget, let's go after everybody who drives F-Series that didn't buy from us and get those messages of, during the month of June and July, we're stocking the lot, and make sure that with what budgets we have, we're able to flex it to what your store needs.
Right.
And and then a lot of the advertising is just going to start with like your database. You have a gold mine of data of people who not only know who you are, not only know who Leif Johnson is, but they've shopped with you before, they've bought from us before. And that's where it's going to start. Like, that's where we need to be really prudent on, once somebody buys, not just sending them OEM incentives and leasing specials and inventory, but saying thanks for buying and then introducing them to the fixed op department. And then I was just talking with Miqueias a second ago, but we're doing a good bit of branding with his dealership right now. I think it's because we're relatively new with launching things. We like to see people watching the video and then move them down to the next level. And it's not something that it's easy to talk about in a dealer to say yes, but then once they see one campaign that's not delivering a lot of website traffic or leads, they're like, let's get rid of that one.
Right.
Is that the feeling?
Funny, yeah, because my first reaction, I actually fired an email with Sheila, and then I was like, well, I'm better than this, right? But it's that car guy that comes out of you, right? And again, first month, you guys delivered great numbers, great performance, right? I was really excited. But I don't just look at with the 10,000 foot view, oh, they're doing great, right? Now, as you know, I'm that analytical guy. All right, line by line, how are we doing here, right? So CPO campaigns, used car campaigns, right? And I see branding. Well, most of the money is going to branding, right? We're getting a lot of impressions, right? We got the frequency is high, but since we don't have a call to action on branding, right? Because it's, again, you just want to do what the name means. You just want to brand yourself. There was no click-through rates. My eyes went all the way to the right. I was like, well, maybe I shouldn't spend that much money in branding. Let's put that money towards something else, right? But to your point, right, if you get in front of them, they watch the video, and then you follow up with the actual call to action ad, which causes the click-through rate, people are more like to click on it, right? You see one thing for the first time, I mean, how much stuff you see online these days, you'd be like, this is bogus, right? But then you keep seeing it, eventually you click on it and be like, okay, right? So you're more likely to engage the call to action, the click-through rate through a call to action, right? So it all makes sense. But overall, it was a great performance, right? So you guys came up, with a fraction of the budget that I spend in some other channels, came up in third, right? So I was really glad to see that, right? You guys outperform a lot of big names out there, right? That I'm spending 3-4 times as much more money, and surprisingly, for the return on investments, you guys surpass. So, and that's from all seats. Now we got to look at it, like, is he worth spending X to get Y results, right? It's also interesting. Well, I haven't done it before, right? And I guess when I send the report, some people are like, oh, yeah, that's pretty good, right? I should have done that before. Like, try to get it done before, right? But overall, it's great results. I'm also excited to see what the Spanish campaigns will do. That's also in that's part of our plan, right? Our plan of attack, I could say. We have gained about 5% in Hispanic market share with Ford in the last 6 months, right? Just through some things we're doing on our own. So if I can get the same message and say, here we go, Andrew, this is the message, help me get out there. I'm really excited to see what those numbers are going to look like here in a couple of months.
I don't know this for a fact, and in marketing, it's kind of convenient sometimes when business is going great. It's like, okay, cool, what we're doing is working really well, and if business is bad, it's like, well, you should spend a little bit more, perhaps. It's like
right.
That's always the language, where it's like it's good that we've got some early results, and then something that's happening in the Spanish in Austin. I think there's like two big dealerships that are other domestic players that we were doing heavy advertising in Spanish with, who've been acquired by some of the publics who just fell into these cookie cutter campaigns that aren't doing Spanish ads. And now it's like, okay, let's get that. Let's cater to that audience, Miqueias.
Let's capture on it, right? It's and without even you saying the names, I know exactly who they are. They own the market, right? They own the market. So, and it's also kind of like the little reality check, right? You never own the market. There's a reason why you own the market, right? And the moment you take your eye off the ball, the market is no longer yours, right? It's a commitment. It's a relationship that you build as a customer service provider to the customer, to the consumer, right? The moment that link gets disconnected, broken, the machine just don't run as well, right? You never own the market. Nobody has the luxury to say, "Oh, I own the market," right? Got to look back and see what are all the things that I'm doing right that's giving me the right to own the market, right? It's kind of like it's the reward of everything that you're doing. The moment you stop doing it, which right now the reason everybody's trying to tap in the market is because the market itself is diversifying, right? They're not just going to A and B motors, right? So we are seeing more, and I'm just happy that I gained 5% in Spanish market share, and that's even me starting this campaign. So really curious to see what we're gonna do.
Yeah, and that's when it's like it's smart for us to have something besides just the same carousels with the inventory going through people's feeds and trying to get a lot of cheap traffic to the VDPs. Because like I've talked to 1,000 dealers now, and 2 of them are you, 3 of them are you. But it's like when I've always asked, like, what makes our dealership special? Like, why should people come to us instead of one of the other stores? And it's never been because of our inventory and our price. Nobody's ever said that.
Yeah.
But then that's what everybody starts to advertise through paid social. It's the inventory and the prices. And so by the time somebody commits to coming to our store, it's like, okay, I'm coming to you guys because of your price and because of the inventory. And then it starts to commoditize the store, where if we can effectively brand and cater to the community and have some of the innovative stuff that you're doing at your store that you can't quite talk about yet because it's pretty innovative, like it's new.
We definitely have some things in the works. I guess I can say I can't just quite speak about it as of yet, but some of the things that we've seen that, right, and people they want more just than a store that they can buy the car, right? They want a store that they can trust, right? That's been a big part of branding, right? You want to make your process as easy as possible, shop simple, right? You can literally go on my website right now, pick a car. You can ask questions to the finance department, ask questions to managers. If you don't want to ask any questions, you can literally start your deal from A to Z, right, online. So you should basically put your information, you set up based on your FICO score. It goes to the banks that you selected, and finance managers just follow up with you, email you all the docs signed, and the car shows up in your doorstep, right? We're trying to make it easy as possible, right? It's part of a spiel that somebody calls about a car. Well, we offer to take the car to them just for a test drive, right? Because and sometimes people appreciate that, because I always talk about it, and everybody heard this a million times, but Sometimes we just don't quite understand what it means, right? Number one luxury being time. No matter how much money you have, that's one time, then nobody can buy more. Therefore, it makes it number one luxury item, right? It's time. So a lot of times people just they want that service, right? Other things that we have as far as time and mobility, we probably one of the pioneers that have two full size vans that we call mobile service. Right, we'll go to people's house, performs oil change, recalls. We offer free pickup and delivery. Something you get in luxury brands. You get it here in every single car. Right, you could drive a 2010 Ford Focus to $120,000 GT Shelby GT 500, and you get the same level of service, right? They call in for appointment. Well, I'm busy. Well, how about if I send you a vehicle, right? I'll send the driver, pick a vehicle, leave a vehicle in your driveway. When your car is ready, I'll drop it back off and pick up the rental back. So it's some of the things that I think like it doesn't show immediate results, but I believe that we're being pioneers in a lot of things as far as respecting people's time, right? Because there's an old saying that people would rather go get a root canal than have to deal with car people, right? And unfortunately, it's a reputation that was built for ourselves. Now, it's our jobs as innovators, it's our jobs as disruptors to change that perception. How you do it? No, you don't have to come in at all, right? I was 2 o'clock sound. I'll have the vehicle on your front doorstep so you can test drive it, right? We probably do a good 40% of what we sell at home deliveries, right? Car shows up on your doorstep, right, and go over all the features and benefits of the car, and people don't even come in. I got a cool story to share. My brother-in-law was in Brazil, and he works in the tech field, and he covers the whole South America. So they got a big acquisition there in Brazil, and he had to stay there for 6 months, right, to get this thing going, both him and his wife. And so he sold the car, right, and was like, don't have any car, don't need a car for 6 months. Went to Brazil, and while in Brazil, he started talking to me about a Ford Bronco. I said, yeah, I got one. Here's some of the options. He picked one, picked the finance plan, all that. Finance manager calls him, go over the final details of the contract, emails him the link. He signs the deal remotely, right, at dockside, and he calls me up saying, hey, I'll be at the airport on Saturday. I'll just Uber directly to the dealership. I say, don't bother. Salesperson will be waiting for you at the arrival with your car ready to go, right? So he bought a car. He was overseas, bought a car, comes out of the terminal. The car is there expecting him. Big Bo, congratulations. Shook hands, gave him the keys, drove home on a brand new car. That's how easy we're trying to make, not just because it's my brother-in-law. This is the thing. We make it easy for everybody. So shop simple is our message. You got to keep it simple and give the consumer the control, right?
And it's like for a domestic dealership, for you guys to like exceed the expectations of what a customer is going to expect from the experience of buying.
Yeah,
it's there.
It's there, and I was going to follow up in a simple fact that we don't fight so hard to be the number one in volume, right? To have the bragging rights, number one dealer in Austin or in Texas, but we do have the bragging rights to say we are the number one dealer in customer satisfaction, right? President's Award, sitting right behind me right here, right? Those plaques. We got 14 of those, right? And it's the most prestige award that you can win from Ford as a Ford dealer. Well, we've done it 14 times, right? We've done it for the last 4 years. That's one thing that we have the bragging rights. And that is just not volume. You got to get the volume. You got to do everything right to be a President's Award worthy dealership, right? We've done it for the last 4 years on the road, right? So we do have that bragging right that we will take care of the customer. We will make sure we are respectful of the customer's time and trying to facilitate as much as possible. I think COVID era taught us a lot of things that not just in our business, every business, right? We look back and say, why haven't we done this way? Right? We could be so much more profitable and be so much ahead if we would have take the time to understand what customer needs. The whole mobility thing that was done it through COVID, right? Everybody became mobile. Nobody needs a skyscraper these days, right? Why do I have to keep that real estate? So it's a lot of things that people look back and say, why we haven't done this way? It's because of the blindness that put in us. Oh, we always done it that way. And that's one thing we're trying to disrupt. We're trying to be innovators, trying to do things completely different, right? And we may fail in some areas, but you know what? We fail forward, right? So it's never like a bad thing, right? So either you win or you learn, right?
Yeah.
So,
And it sounds like you're carving out that spot right now. And it's 6 months into being a GM, and it's kind of building the puzzle together and figuring out exactly, if it's not number one in volume yet, it's, it's like me. You say that I'm number 3. I'm like, cool. You're not spending a fortune with us. And even like, even if we're looking at traffic to the website or something, it's like, I want that to be organic traffic. That means you've got good branding.
right.
I want it to be, paid search. I want some things to fall above me and then have us fall in right there. Because if it's like, there's some stores where I'm number 1 in traffic, I'm like, we shouldn't be number 1. There's some problems going on with
right.
branding, with traffic.
I guess you to be the number 1 paid, right? Because the other ones is just branding. We're lucky to be, here in Austin for 65 years. This particular store been here for 65 years. So, yeah, that speaks volume, right? So
that store's got some stories.
Organic search are the two that are beating you right now. So as far as paid lead provider, or you technically number 1, right? But again, due to the branding, everybody knows Leif Johnson around Austin, right? Everybody knows what it is. It's been here for 65 years, right? So I'm blessed to be part of that. So, and I'm glad we briefly talk about it for a little bit, that the 20 years prior of being a GM also gave me enough backbone to have a good understanding of what's required of a general manager to do the job. So I don't think it was too long. I just think it came in the right time because I have a full understanding of what needs to be done, right? So
can I ask you, over 20 years ago, the story that is one of the reasons I love this industry, but of when you walked into your first dealership and what you were doing?
Well, yeah. So you're gonna take me back in the memory lane now. So, yeah. Also, back in 1996, I got married. I was 19 years old, with the intentions of getting out of Brazil, come to the United States for that opportunity. I was blessed that I had some pioneers in my family that was here before. I had 2 sisters and a brother here in Boston, Massachusetts. So I was like, why not? Right. So got married, came to the United States, and started speaking a word of English. And I remember got here on a Saturday. My brother takes me to apply for a job at a restaurant in Salem, Massachusetts called Salem Beer Works. Very well-known place there. And so go in to apply. They were like, yeah, we really need a dishwasher. Can you start it now? So my brother left me there. So me, without really understanding and speaking the language, and I started washing dishes. That's what they told me to do, right? So one job, 40 hours wasn't enough. And I got another job in the city next to Salem, Massachusetts, at another restaurant as a dishwasher. So clicking another 40 hours, right? So I was working 80 hours a week as a dishwasher. And that was my first welcome to America. Well, welcome to your America dream, right? But I always had a concept, hardworking individual, whatever you do, make sure you do 100%. So I start working there and kind of better myself. I work at a dry cleaning store. Then I started working at a Greek restaurant. They had a bunch of ballrooms, and I did a little bit of dishwasher there for a short period of time, and then I became a waitress for events, and that I did for a while. And at that point, with 2 years here, we had enough money to save, and my brother and I venture in a partnership, and we opened a repair shop. In Brazil, my dad had a fleet of taxis. We always work on our own cars, so I grew up around cars. So we opened a repair shop, and that went really well. And a couple of years after that, I was like, hey, I need you to buy me out, or I'm going to buy you out. So he ended up buying me out, and I opened up another repair facility and started going to auctions, buying cars, fix it up, and selling it. So Massachusetts, they watched that really close. I ended up getting the state's attention. They came in and gave me a warning to the repair facility. It was like, hey, you can't retail more than 3 cars a year. I was like, well, that's going to be a challenge. And so I start finding ways to apply for a license. There's no license available. Basically, it's X number of license given out. So I had to find an existing dealership with the dealership license to buy it. And bought into acquisition. I bought this small car lot, and that's what the whole retail experience started happening. So I bought this retail lot that was selling 30, 40 cars a month. It was my own gig, and went really well. Ended up getting a body shop, and I had a tow truck to pick up the cars. So kind of had a little bitty segment of a repair shop, body shop, tow truck, and a car lot, right? Well, one guy running all that. So I was, again, grow without having the infrastructures. The example of failing forward, right? So things just started getting a little overwhelmed. I was the only one, and I had an offer to sell the business, and I want to get out of Massachusetts because the Brazilian kid in Massachusetts, you guys can picture what the winter's like. It wasn't my thing. At that point, I already had 2 kids. One was 4 years old, and the other one was 1. And came visit Austin, fell in love, and at that time, and I applied at this dealership that I was referenced to, that I spent 14 years. They hired me on the spot. I literally flew back home, put everything in a box truck, and moved here. And that's how I, little prior to the car business, that's what I done. So, and got in this dealership, and again, just worked my way up. And here I am today, because I guess that story from there to now, I share prior to the story prior of me getting in the auto industry here. So, but I'm blessed. It was a good thing. I'm blessed and got a beautiful kids, beautiful family. Really excited of my accomplishments. Like I said, I don't feel like it took too long. I just feel like it's the right time. I think I'm definitely the better version of me now that I was even last year or 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, life is good. It's a good thing. So
Yeah. I mean, it's resilience. It's being scrappy. It's entrepreneurial. And I feel like there's like each role at a dealership, you have kind of like a level of owning your own destiny. And it's a meritocracy of you keep doing well, you'll rise up. And
no,
just
for sure.
I like your story of going
thank you.
from not speaking English and washing dishes to being the GM of
Yeah,
a freaking growing big legacy Ford store.
I'm actually, like I say, I look back at, I'm very blessed. Great kids, and my oldest one graduated at Baylor and pre-med, and she's actually working in the field right now. So it's just good, right? And it's one of those things that when you look back, you just got to be grateful, right? Who I ever thought as a 19-year-old kid getting paid $3.25 in 1996 an hour. $3.25 was state minimum, right? Would have ever dreamed to be able to give my kids the best education possibly that money can't buy. And they went to Baylor here in Texas, which we all know it ain't cheap. But I just served some things that back then it would be like, yeah, that's completely like crazy, right? Never get there. And graduate my oldest one without a single payment of student loans, and so she's debt free. It's just, to me, that's the legacy I'm leaving for them, right? That education, be able to look back and see that things that I never thought would be possible, not only possible, it's done, check, right? And no, I'm very blessed. I'm very thankful for every step of the way, every milestone, even from the dishwash jobs that they gave me the first sight of what America was, right?
I like to think of those being formative. Like
Absolutely.
those, when I did things or school or jobs. I'm like, why did I do that? And then it's like, that was super formative.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, somebody waiting tables or being a bartender or
And
bussing tables.
also,
Like, that's
it
dealing
builds,
with people.
it builds a level of respect for every industry and for when the individuals performing the job. Sometimes you go out, you sit down, you get a nice meal, but you have no idea what goes behind, right? Those walls in a restaurant kitchen, and the people there working their butts off, right? Washing the plates and make sure everything's clean, nice and neat, right? And it definitely, when you cross paths with people like that, you treat them with the most utmost respect, right? Because you know what it's like, right? I know what it's like being a dishwasher and look at the restaurant floor, all the fancy people eating, and it was like, I'll never get a seat at that table, right? It's kind of gets me emotional, right? And now you go and you get to sit on those tables, right? But you have the ultimate respect for that kid that's back there in the kitchen, right? So
I love it.
yeah,
Miqueias, thank you, dude, for the kind words you said. I didn't know you're going to be able to give us a good testimonial at the same time. I thought you were going to
it's the
beat
truth,
me
right?
up over the branding campaigns we're running,
Yeah.
but
I'm not saying that I'm satisfied though. We can do better.
for sure.
We can
Yeah.
always do more, right?
Yeah. I've never talked to a dealer when I'm like, okay, how is it going? They're like, oh, we're at the top.
Yeah.
We're the
Well,
best. Yeah.
I like to celebrate the small wins, right? And you guys came strong the first month, and again, now we're gonna diversify our focus a little bit and put a little more focus and a little more funds into it, and sky's the limit. So, but Andrew,
Love it.
it's always a pleasure, man. Yeah, I love to talk to you. It's always a pleasure.
All right, my friend. I'm going to stop recording now. It was good chatting with you on here, though.
Yeah, I didn't know you're gonna get me emotional.